Welcome into CBS Sports Presents Numbers Don't Lie, powered by Sofascore. And on the eve of this international window, we're discussing one of the big topics in the football world, which is Neymar. Is he going to be on the plane to the United States, Mexico, and Canada in 2026, representing the Seleção? And for more on this, let's bring in Michael Lahoud, our analyst today. I'm Chris Wittyngham. Michael, when you look at Neymar and the work that he has done over the course of his career, he's earned a lot of capital with the Brazil fans. But are the injuries just one too many for this team?
You know, look, Woody, there's two different topics at hand right now. The availability of Neymar is one thing, but look at the aura, man. Whether he's got the bleach tips or whatever Goldilocks he has, he's Neymar. You got to get him in your team.
And that is the big question that we kind of want to tackle today. Now, he's not in the most recent squad called in by Carlo Ancelotti. And let's hear from the Brazil manager looking at what he has said in the media. He has said when Neymar is in good physical condition, he has the quality to play not only in Brazil, but in any team in the world because of his talent. That was back in October, though. When you look at November, though, he has said, I haven't spoken to Neymar recently. We'll see when he's able to recover and play again for the World Cup. We need players in top physical condition. Now, he has come back from another injury, did play at the weekend for Santos in the Brasileirão, but you look at what he has done over the course of his career. You mentioned that aura being such a big part of what he can bring to the national side. Let's make the case for why he should be on the plane. And let's start, first and foremost, he's the all-time leading goal scorer for Brazil. You're really going to leave him out when he's only 33 years of age?
Yeah, there's goals in his boots. And I'll just give a little tidbit about this. World Cup winner, World Cup winner, World Cup winner, should have been a World Cup winner, got to a third place game. So he's in elite company. And with that, he's Brazil's all-time leading goal scorer in World Cup qualifiers. And that's even after missing some of the recent matches.
Now, he is the all-time leading goal scorer, but also over the course of the last decade, these are in World Cup qualifiers. This is with and without Neymar over the course of the last decade, basically. 28 games with him, they lose one. They average almost 2.5 points per game. They almost score 2.4 goals per game, and without him, there just hasn't been that same level of production. They become a more pedestrian team, Brazil, without their main star.
Yeah, I'm going to throw another stat in there. It's not on there, but it's XG, expected Ginga. This is a Brazilian side that without Neymar, there's no Ginga, man. And we see it, Woody. It is not Brazil to see almost half the points there and almost half of the goals they scrape by in World Cup qualifiers.
Now, he hasn't been with the team since 2023. This was back when he was in his pomp for Paris Saint-Germain and playing at a really high level. So we've done here forwards in the top 5 leagues. The green dots are Brazilians in the top 5 leagues in the Brasileirão. 2022-2023. Look at where Neymar is. He's still scoring and assisting at a really high level. Problem is, just not playing very much. He's producing better than Martinelli, then Rodrigo, then Vini Jr., but the problem is always availability with Neymar. And also, we haven't seen him hit this ceiling for some time.
Yeah, this was the beginning of the decline. And I remember watching this PSG side when you had Lionel Messi, Kylian Mbappe, and Neymar, and he was still that much better than the players available. Now, when we look at the games played and missed, as I talked about, that was the start. This is the decline, Woody. I mean, the case against him is towards this end. That 48 games missed is astonishing, but as of late, you can't be doing this. You can't be missing 17 games if you're going to get to the World Cup.
Well, and again, this number here is staggering. 65 games played over this period, 113 missed. He's almost missed twice as many games as he has played. And the question then becomes, do you sort of reach a point where you can no longer deliver your highest level because injuries have made you unrecognizable? Do you think, Lahoud, that it's one too many? He has crossed the Rubicon where he can no longer hit the ceiling of being Neymar.
When Neymar's on a football pitch, he can do things that people can only dream about, right? And we've shown it in terms of the goals and the quality of goals and the quality of assists. Now, this is kind of damning because there's players on this chart, and I can think of one. If you don't have Neymar, there's a player in Anthony who's knocking at the door, who's having another high-caliber season with Real Betis. Vini Jr., though, João Pedro, question marks about them with a Brazil shirt. So that's why I'm going to make an advocate for this. Neymar, when healthy, should he stay healthy, from this point all the way into next year, deserves a chance because Carlo Ancelotti has not seen Neymar yet in the Brazil jersey.
And I think that's a big question. We saw there his current performance suggests that he's not of the level of the other major Brazilian forwards, but you're sort of banking on promise. And we want to ask you, the viewer, to chime in the YouTube comment section. Get involved. Should Neymar be on the plane for Brazil to the World Cup? Is he still enough of a top-level player? The question, though, Lahoud, is maybe are there other players that could fill in for him? And you want to talk about a young star that's thriving for Chelsea right now that could potentially be the player to assume that mantle for the Seleção.
Yeah, it's not all bad news, Brazilian fans, because there is someone who is ready to step up and potentially take the next mantle. And he's next in line. His name is Estêvão, or Estêvão, as I sometimes see him and call him. I mean, this is a young player who could very well be Brazil's next savior. And I love what he's done at Chelsea, right? You look at the goals he's scoring in the Premier League, the teams he's scoring against. But when I look at the numbers, the three things that catch my eye, the expected assists. Mind you, he's playing with a Chelsea side that don't have all their high caliber players. Cole Palmer has yet to come back from injury, so those expected assists are going to go through the roof. The successful dribbles is what catches my eye. Number 6 right now, he's not starting week in and week out. I think that will change with his current manager at Chelsea, and as he continues to get more minutes and bigger shine, I mean, the sky's the limit for him.
And I think when you look at what Estêvão has done this season for Chelsea, even what he's done in a short sample for the Brazilian national team, he is very clearly showing a player with incredible promise. The question is, though, I do think that maybe there's a difference between playing in some World Cup qualifiers and some friendlies for Brazil and performing well and starting well at Chelsea in a new team in a role where he's been eased in. But if we're saying he's going to be the player that could potentially lead Brazil, if Neymar isn't in the team, all of a sudden you start having the conversation about the weight of the shirt. And is this too much pressure to put on such a young player?
Yeah, you have to see who he's going to be competing against, right? In terms of who wants that shirt, who wants to wear that iconic, eventually, number 10 of Brazil. And now you have to look at the Vinny's, the Rodrigos of the world. And now, this is Estêvão since he's made his debut for Brazil. Almost the exact same number of goals. And I'm going to give you this. Vinny Jr. has 41 caps to his name, and that is what you're getting from Estêvão. I love that you're getting more of return in terms of minutes per goal than what the two of them, and Vinny Jr. and Rodrigo, is doing. If I'm Don Carlo, I know you love numbers don't lie. So listen to this. Estêvão is the present and the future of the Brazilian national team.
But he's also won things with Vinny Jr. and with Rodrigo. And I guess the question is, can he get more out of those guys because of his previous as Real Madrid boss with those two? We want to ask you guys in the YouTube comment section, is Estêvão next to be one of the big Brazil stars? But let's bring in our South American football expert.
Yeah, let's talk to Mbizo Mzamane, who knows everything under the sun happening in South America, especially with La Seleção. Mbizo, bom dia!
Bom dia, meu irmão, tudo bem?
Good. Tudo bem. And Mbizo, we were talking about it in terms of the numbers, but I want to hear from you in terms of the context. Is Estêvão ready to take the mantle from Neymar as the next Brazilian star?
I wouldn't say he'd be ready to take that mantle as of yet. I don't know how broad the boy's shoulders are, but when you think about the kind of player that Neymar was at that same age, I don't really think there's any comparison. Yes, Estêvão is probably the most talented Brazilian player to come out of Brazil since Neymar, but Neymar at the same age almost didn't have anything to learn. I mean, the boy was just absolutely spectacular, a phenomenon himself. And I think Estêvão certainly will be the burgeoning and budding star for Brazil for generations to come. But I think right now, it's a lot to ask of the boy, especially considering the fact that at club level, he's still yet to really establish himself, as you guys have spoken about. And frankly, it shouldn't have to fall on his shoulders. The likes of Vinicius Jr., Rodrigo, and even players like João Pedro, who I think are a little bit more mature, should be taking more responsibility, I think. Can he contribute? Absolutely. But should he be considered a savior? I don't think so. And I also think that's dangerous for his development, because should he fail under the weight of those expectations, I think it could be detrimental for his future in the national team and for his personal development. But he's absolutely spectacular. But for me, Brazil really needs to focus on unity and each player pitching in to fill the void that I think Neymar has left.
I agree with you, Mbizo. It's a long future potentially for Estêvão, and you don't want to ruin it before it even begins. But I want to get back to the original question that we started the segment with, which is Neymar. With everything that's happened to him, with him moving to the Brasileirão, with the injuries he sustained in Saudi Arabia, with the slew of injuries he's had over several seasons, are you expecting him to be on the plane to the United States, Canada, and Mexico for the World Cup? Do you think he's going to be there, and do you think he should be there?
I'll answer the second question first, which is I don't think he should be there. As of today, as of right now, I do not think he should be there. Again, I'm with Ancelotti. I think physically, Neymar simply can't get himself to an appropriate level. He hasn't been able to do so for Santos. And I've mentioned on a couple of occasions where he seems like he's labored. He seems like he moves in pain when he's playing with the ball. And he doesn't seem to have the consciousness to play simpler. Right. And unfortunately, down here in Brazil, we're quite aware of his lifestyle as well, which is not conducive to getting him back to 100% physical capability. So we know what he's capable of. We know his level of talent. But the problem is that he's not going to be able to show that talent, to demonstrate that talent, and to contribute to the national team if he's not in peak physical condition, which he hasn't been for eons. And as things are going right now, it doesn't look like he'll get to that level by the time the World Cup comes around, which is a great shame. But at the same time, it's an opportunity for some of these other players to fill that void, which I think they can do.
And Mbizo, we're talking about Brazil having one star player, one key player. In the past, they had 5 or 6. This was a team that was known the world over for the talent they produce. Is there a worry that going into this World Cup, whether it is Neymar, who has failed to produce over the last few years, whether it's Vini, who's failed to produce for Brazil, or Estêvão, who's maybe too young, is the worry in the overall that there aren't enough top-level Brazilian stars right now?
I mean, it's difficult for me to say that there aren't enough top-level Brazilian players. Of course there are. These are some of the best players in the world, and the depth is still there, to the point where we discuss who's going to be left out, who's going to be taken. Every time a Brazilian squad is announced by Ancelotti, there's questions and arguments about who maybe should have been there, who shouldn't be. So it's still a Brazilian team which maybe isn't on the level that it used to be some time ago, but it's still a team that boasts incredible talent. So for me, the question really isn't, do they have enough talent to compete? The question is, how do we get them to compete? How do we get them to play together and to be more productive as a Brazilian national team in ways that they always have been, and they just don't seem to be doing now? I mean, we see how Vinicius Jr. plays when he's at Real Madrid. Why can't he play like that for the Seleção? Why can't he play like that in the yellow jersey? And I think those are the questions that need to be asked, rather than are they talented enough? The question is, how do we get the best out of that talent? How do we get the most out of it? And how do we get them to play in a way that is truly, as Mikey said, about the Jenga, about the flavor, about the way they've always been? So I think that's more where we are at this juncture in time.
Hey, thanks for watching this video from Numbers Don't Lie. Be sure to catch our show every Monday at 5 p.m. on YouTube. And for news and insights from leagues all around the world, including Serie A, EFL, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.